gotta stay tuned. This is gonna be one of my most impactful, if not the most impactful, straight talk, least straight understanding that I have had thus far. And this is why. Here, wow, my brother's here. Thank you. I appreciate you. I appreciate you being here. This is your content. So, the reason why this is going to be the most impactful straight talk, least a straight understanding that I have had to date is because I have the most impactful guest in my life that I have had to date on. No disrespect to anybody else who has joined me, but this is my daughter, Qiara Nicole Bolden. So thank you for joining me. This is the first time she has been on the platform, correct?
Mm-hmm.
This might even be the first time she even listened to a straight talk. Would that be correct?
Yeah, it's the first time I've ever even been live.
Wow. Thank you. Do you have any more light?
Yeah.
Yeah, put a little bit more light on you because you're a little dim.
Okay.
This is why it's such an honor to have her here with me. Like I said, she's never even listened to any of my straight talk. Aha! Much better, thank you.
You're welcome.
She's never even listened to any of my straight talks. And in fairness, even though it hurts my heart, in fairness, she's like a PK. Anything I preach, she's been hearing all her life. So it ain't like I'm saying much that she hasn't heard other than the stuff that I might have learned since she heard it last. So with that being said, Qiara, welcome, welcome, welcome. And thank you for joining me. Thank you for joining me. I wanted to, have this conversation with you live because we were having a conversation a few days ago. And, you gave me 2.5 hours of your time, which I'm always thankful of. A reason why I say that is something that we spoke about earlier. I happen to have been watching Kevin Samuels. I don't know if you watch him or not. I know you ain't about the social media life. But I happen to have been watching him the night before he passed. And one of the things that really stuck with me now, even more so, but he said, is that, ladies, why do you keep thinking that you have all the time in the world? That's what I don't get. And he passed away the following day. I'll segue it from there to ask you, Qiara. You've heard me make mention of how valuable time is. You've heard me speak about time and valuing it. What do you receive when I speak to you about that?
That it's precious. And you have to spend your time, time is money too.
I don't know who child you are. Who raised you? So time is money. I don't believe time is money anymore. I understand time is money. And I've shared with it and I've taught you time is money, but time is precious beyond money. Time is precious because we take it for granted often. The more people that I lose, and you haven't lost a lot of people in your life just yet, and that's why I always remind you. And how was it me raising you?
A lot of lectures.
A lot of what?
Lectures.
Okay. And do you still look at them as lectures?
No.
How do you look at them now?
Like life lessons.
Wow. Okay. I say that because I've been accused, and rightfully so, that I give lectures all the time to my loved ones, especially. And it's very annoying to them. And you laugh because you can attest to this. Absolutely. But the value that came out of, again, the time that was spent devoted to those hours, because you look at them as lectures, I look at it as time being spent. And the time is valuable because of what you just said in the end, that they were life lessons, and you finally at some point received the lesson, which to me is the most beautiful thing, which is the blessing. And so to hear you say that encourages me to continue to do what I do here on Straight Talk, Lisa Straight Understanding. I know we didn't have a lot of physical time. That is why I spent a lot of time lecturing, because I knew that my presence, I lived in California, you lived in New York, and so my presence wasn't always available to you. How did you feel about that? Now and then.
I felt fine about it. Now and then.
Did you feel that you missed out on some stuff?
No.
Really? This is straight talk. It's going to lead to straight understanding. Really? Okay, I asked you the question again. Did you feel you missed out on anything?
No.
You wouldn't have preferred to be raised in the house with me?
Uh, but I still saw you.
Good point. Wow. It segues into something else. I want you to elaborate on that, because what y'all don't know is, although we was in two different cities, like she said, I made it my business and intention to be present in her life physically as much as possible. Maybe that's why you feel what you said, because it wasn't a traditional um, household to where I wasn't there, even though I wasn't living in the same state, or I wasn't living even close to the same state. So, in knowing that now as an adult, and not as your father, what could you tell other men who might be struggling, or other women who might be struggling with raising a child or having a good relationship with a person that's not near or close to them?
Just make sure that you spend as much time as you can with them. And when you do have that time, make sure it's quality time.
Wow. Okay. Okay. You're impressing me. All right. You might want to do this a little more often. All right. All right. And what do you consider quality time at this point in your life?
One-on-one time without distractions.
Okay. Well, then I have failed you. And we laugh because now we're getting down to the nitty gritty of it all. You know, she said, no, I wouldn't have changed it. I'm good. And I'm like, really? But what the point that she just made is something that I learned and I had to mature into, and I'm still maturing into, quite frankly, is that although I did give her a lot of time, as she just shared, a lot of that time was looked at as lectures, which wasn't always fun. A lot of that time was I was on my phone still handling business, and this is something that she more recently has shared with me about how she felt about that. And she has taught me, valuable lessons in giving quality time to her and many of my other loved ones that I did not know and I was not aware of. I was guilty of. So elaborate on the type of quality time you felt you might have missed with me that maybe I'm trying to make up now, and where I put in effort to give you quality time that might have been missed.
Well, if you were on your phone,
Yeah.
or if I was going with you to meetings.
You just mentioned something that I think I took pride in. I took pride in the fact that I still had to do work, and I still had to do things that I included you in instead of removing you from. I didn't get the time that I didn't get to go home to you. So when I was around you, even if I had to work, the way you looked at it was you came second. The way I looked at it was my work came second. My daughter's coming with me. And people question that. Like, why is she here? Why are you bringing your daughter to work? Why is she at an office with you? Why are you doing? And my rebuttal to that was, yo, if you don't like it, then you don't like me. If you don't want it, then you don't want me. And that was a sacrifice that I made for you. Now, it didn't come across that way, of course, to you because you wanted all of my time, especially when I was able to give you some time that because I'm not home with you. But in retrospect, that's how I looked at it. I looked at it like, yo, you came with me to conventions, to meetings, the places that conventionally you were not supposed to be. So now that you are a businesswoman and an adult, can you see the perspective that I might have seen it from? And what do you feel about that perspective if you see it now?
Yeah, I definitely see it. That it's because you wouldn't bring children to stuff like that. And it was cool going to all that stuff like that. And it was just me being a kid. I wouldn't think of it that way.
And like I said, now you as an adult and imagining, first off, let me ask you this question for the record for everybody who's watching. Thank you, everybody who's joining me. And my daughter, Qiara. Qiara Nicole, thank you, man. It brings tears to my eyes, honestly, to have you here. How many children do you have?
None.
Are you married?
Nope.
Okay. I find pride in that. Thank you. Because although, and I've said this online before and I shared it with you, I had you out of wedlock, which is technically considered a bastard child. I never wanted you to go in that direction. And I always tried to influence you to have the integrity and have the pride, even though I didn't believe in the institution of marriage at some point in my life. And, that messed up a few of my relationships. But the point being, it wasn't because I didn't treat them like they were my wife. And that's something that I always made sure that you understand how you're supposed to be treated. How do you feel you're supposed to be treated by a man?
Hmm. I'm supposed to be respected, number one.
Respected,
Honored.
honored.
I want to say looked at as an equal.
Okay, I want you to elaborate on that. Looked at as an equal. We're going to discuss that.
Being able to, when you have to make decisions together, share the same decision and being able to have equal part in that decision.
Being able to have an equal part in a decision. Okay. Anything else? This is off the top of your head. You don't have to have it rehearsed.
I don't know.
Okay. Let me ask you this. I heard all of those. What do you think is the most valuable thing to your dad?
Mm, respect.
That's not the most valuable. Think about it and really think about your dad. What have I instilled into you probably more than anything else? B,
Be independent.
uh, no, I'm asking you right now to be what? When you're saying your answers, what do I want you to be?
Confident.
When you're saying your answers, what do I want you to be right now?
Honest.
Now, is that something? What? Why are you laughing?
Because that should have been the first thing I thought of.
What have I instilled into you since you were probably before you were able to talk?
My word is important.
Okay. And let me ask you this straight talk. Is that this straight talk leads to straight understanding? Do you understand that about your dad? What does that mean? Or how does that highlight your dad to you? Does that say anything about your dad? Straight talk leads to straight understanding.
Being honest.
And in your relationships, what have I emphasized?
Honesty.
From who?
Everybody.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I did not say it. This is coming from somebody who has been speaking to me probably more and longer than many of you have. And I have instilled it into her. What's a bad word? This is something else I've instilled. What's a bad word? Do you
Can't.
remember? Huh?
Can't.
Can't is a bad word. I taught her that since she was before she could speak. Probably, I said, "Yo, can't is a bad word. No, never say you can't. Never say you can't." And I want to ask you this, Qiara, and I want you to be honest about it. Uh, do you feel that I'm controlling?
No.
And why is that?
You never controlled me.
As a matter of fact, do I give you liberty to do what it is you want, when it is you want, and support that liberty?
Yeah.
Now, do I challenge you when you make decisions during that liberty?
Hmm.
Do you feel sometimes chastised, beat down, where I'm on you heavily when you make those decisions?
No. But I'm also I'll do what I want to do.
No, but what I'm saying is that after you do what you want to do, and those long lectures come, why are those long lectures there?
To teach me, to see if I understood.
The lesson through the experience, correct?
Hmm.
Now, I asked that question because I've been accused of being controlling. And quite frankly, I actually feel like I give people the most liberty in any situation. In all my relationships, I give them liberty. In all of my, to the point where it burnt me. I said, I don't believe in what? You made me understand this. What don't I believe in?
Titles?
What title specifically?
Boyfriend and girlfriend?
Thank you. And why is it that I said to you, why? Because you're the one, I'm going to be candid with everybody. I don't believe in boyfriend and girlfriend, the title boyfriend and girlfriend. My daughter is the one who helped me learn this and understand this. Why was it? Do you remember the moment that I came to that conclusion, Qiara?
When I had a boyfriend or
And what happened in that whole experience? If you could walk us through that experience, if you remember it, I'll walk you through if you
I
don't
don't
remember it.
remember.
Okay, what happened was this is the first time she was about 13 or 16, one or the other years old. She had ran into somebody that she liked and she called him her boyfriend. And I said, Qiara, why are you calling him your boyfriend? And you said, because. I said, what does that really mean? But she was like, well, we can go out together. I said, you can do all of that. We can be exclusive to. I said, you can do all of that without the title boyfriend or girlfriend. Correct? And then I said, so only thing that the title boyfriend and girlfriend is do is he's going to have authority over you, and you're not going to have the liberty that you deserve. He's going to be able to touch you when he want to, feel you, do certain things that gives him authority over you and ask you where not to go, where you going and all that, which limits your liberty. That title came across. I said, why are you giving him that title? Did he earn it? Wasn't that my question to you?
Hmm.
And what was your answer, if you recall? You might
No,
not.
I don't remember.
Okay. But the reason why I asked you, did he earn that title, is because I said this. I said, you're about to give him authority, which he did not earn over you. And so that is why at that moment, I didn't understand the concept of boyfriend and girlfriend ever again in my life. Because the same authority that you give him is the authority that people give to a fiance, correct? And you tell me, and ladies, y'all can tell me too, which is a more respectable title, girlfriend or fiance? Qiara?
Beyonce.
Okay, so this is before I even understood or valued the institution of marriage. When I was sharing this with my daughter, she was probably around 13, 14, and she helped me learn how invaluable calling somebody your girlfriend or boyfriend becomes or is, because you're giving them a lot of authority and they are not taking on the responsibility that requires that title. Like the responsibility they should be taking on is responsibility of a fiance, having the intention to marry you at the very least. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Well, you my daughter, so you probably agree because I've been kind of instilling this since you were 13 or 14, or 16. But ladies and gentlemen, I say that because she is who, that's how I learned that. Now, a lot of people have disagreed with me and really, I mean, I've been crucified about it. Stakes to the hand, to the foot, about in all my relationships, by my friends, my family members, all these people who felt that you should give a title. And I said, hey, the title that I should give if I'm going to take on is fiance. Ingrid said it's not about authority as much as the lesson learning how to keep one another personal feelings in consideration who is not your family. Well, that's part of authority, babe. That's what I'm talking about, Ingrid. That's part of authority. Is that the consideration that you're giving that person is authoritative. You're giving them that consideration. Like, do you give consideration to everybody you meet? Do you consider how that person that you walk past in the street, how they feel? I'm asking you, Qiara.
Uh, I do. I give consideration.
To everybody?
Yeah, unless they don't deserve it.
Then that's not everybody. What would make a person not deserve your consideration?
If they don't give me consideration.
Oh, so that's spiteful. I'm saying. So are you spiteful now?
Not that I'm spiteful, but if you're not being nice to me, then I'm not going to go out of my way to be nice to you.
But if you're a nice person, then why are you changing your attitude for someone else?
Because I don't think they deserve it.
Okay, so that again, is that not spiteful? I mean, think about it now. I'm asking you a question. Is that not spiteful? You ain't never been spiteful. Why are you spiteful now? You can simply walk away. You don't need, but if they approach you, and I'm guilty of it, I have been spiteful, tit for tat, but I don't deny it.
I mean, I'm only not gonna, they're not gonna know that I'm not being nice to them unless they're approaching me.
So now that's being sneaky.
No. It's
It,
just,
it,
say you see somebody on the street, you're nice to them, they completely ignore you, then I keep moving on. If then they try and come and ask me for a favor, you're out of luck.
okay, and you're right, but guess what? You know your dad doesn't believe in luck, right?
Yeah.
What I believe in.
Blessings.
Exactly. So you don't want to bless them simply because they did something to you. And so the reason why I pointed out as being spiteful is because you might not receive a blessing that you deserve because you decided to block a blessing that they deserve that you were supposed to give them because you got in your feelings. Straight talk. It's a straight understand. Do you understand that? Does it make sense to you?
It does.
This is the most impactful straight talk that will be because you're actually seeing me interact with my daughter naturally and some of the conversations that we would have in private. And a lot of conversations that I have in private is what really triggered me to do a straight talk in the first place. Straight talk leads to straight understanding because I was having all of these private conversations. Qiara, how often do I stay on the phone?
all day,
How much time do I devote to others?
a lot.
What do I get out of it?
I don't know.
Because I don't get anything. That's the whole thing. To anyone who thinks that I'm doing this for myself, could you let them know, is this something that I have been doing since you have known me?
Yes.
Is it something that has stopped?
Nope.
When you speak to me on the telephone, what are our conversations primarily?
Life lessons.
I laugh because, yes, you're right. And I'm trying to be a little bit more mindful of that. You've taught me that as well. And the other thing is, I want everybody to acknowledge and understand that I just don't try to teach her or help her. I'm acknowledging that she helps me as well. Let's segue into it because before we get out of here, we've been on for about almost 20 minutes, I believe, 40 minutes, right? 40 minutes? Got on about 145. It's going on 220, about 40 minutes, right? I don't want to go over an hour. I'm gonna read some of the comments. Ingrid has some comments. You get understanding, absolutely. It still serves your purpose. It is in your spirit to advise. It's in my spirit to advise, but it's more frustrating at times because often it was even frustrating with my daughter Shannon, with her, because she wasn't receiving it, as she said earlier, and it became lectures to her to where she was bored, she was annoyed, she wasn't appreciating what it was that I was doing it. But because I love her and I understand how valuable it is, I just continuously impose that onto her, and it would be to in a suggestive way, not in a way where I forced her to do it. To this day, I'm like, and Qiara, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm like, yo, do what you want. That's what you want. I go ahead and do it. Just be aware that there might be some consequences to that, and if that's your choice, I don't agree with it, but to each his own. Does that sound similar to what I would say to you?
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to get back to a couple of principles. One, you touched on a lot. You said you feel in a relationship some of the most important things are to be respected, to be honored. You said equal. Now, I don't dispute the equality in a relationship. That is the modern woman, and I'm going to speak to you about that because I'm a segue into Kevin Samuels, which I asked you to listen to some stuff about him, and I asked you, and I'm going to share what I asked you after I do it. I think that I am leaning more towards being attracted to and interested in traditional methodologies. There are some modern woman ways that I can agree with and that I understand, but I feel like the modern woman feminist movement has destroyed the family structure. And Kevin Samuels' death helped me think about it even further because here was a man who was basically trying to help the woman who bashed him and hated him. Because while his methods I don't always agree with, some of the things that he was challenging women to do, which was take accountability, respect the masculinity and the black man, and most importantly, be married and understand the value of the marriage institution. And one of the values that he will always say, or one of the things that he would say is, it's not always about just being in love, because that's a feeling. It's about having a structure that can help build legacy for, in his case, he said man, which I don't agree with. I feel the legacy for the family, which includes the man, the woman, and the children. And that legacy is something that he was advocating indirectly. And his methods, I agree, sometimes were not the best methods. He did mock people. He did, do some things that was good for entertainment value, but wasn't good for integrity. But if you chew the meat and spit out the bones, or as I heard today from Tracy told me this today, she said, listen to the words and not the music. Because the music will have you winding, grinding, gyrating, have your body doing all types of things. But if you miss the words, you could be winding, grinding to something where it's saying, yield not to temptation. It could be the Lord saying, do not whine and grind. But because you so into you ain't even listening to the words. So I say all that. The message, not the messenger, is what Ingrid said, and I say that all the time. I asked you specifically before we started this, and we're going to devote the next 15 minutes to this, to listen to something on Kevin Samuels, because you said you don't really listen to him, or you might have, I don't remember. But I said, listen to him, but I want you to listen with the intent of chewing on the meat and spitting out the bones. Correct?
Mm-hmm.
Did you get a chance to do any of that?
I did.
Okay, so tell me your thoughts. And be honest. I'm not asking you to agree.
I just don't know if there was anything I really agreed with.
Okay, so tell me, what did you listen to?
Um, what did I listen to? The first one I listened to was his latest video. I forgot what it was.
The one that he did the other night. Who was on it? Who was he speaking to?
I don't know. It was just him, and then I cut it off. It was too long to listen to.
Okay. Now, you just did the epitome of why a lot of women, black women specifically, miss the message. And what I always tell you, you have to be more patient and in tune to in order to receive the message. What did you do? You turned it off. So, how can you receive a message if you don't listen to it? My daughter.
True. I think he was talking to a lady and she was divorced,
Mm-hmm.
but she felt like there wasn't anything on the market.
Right. That was his last one, and that was the one that I listened to. And I haven't actually had a conversation about it with one of my friends, and she was like, "Yo, I didn't understand." And I said it was real simple. Did you did you listen to the whole thing, or you turned it off?
I turned it off eventually, and then I moved on to skip through different other stuff that he was
Okay,
doing.
let's get back to that one. What made you turn it off?
When she started getting into he was a bad man, or she called him.
And he checked on it, correct?
Yeah, but what actually made me turn it off was the way he checked her on it.
Oh, so you got in your emotions.
Not in my emotions.
Did she need checking?
Um, I don't know, because I felt like the entire video, when
Mm-hmm.
it first started, she wasn't trying to speak ill of him. I felt
But
like
but when did he check her?
when she did speak ill of him.
So did she need checking? That was my question.
Yes.
And what you just said, it's what a lot of women cannot say. And that's the reason why I feel the meat of it, the bone was the fact that he did do it in a very what could be called disrespectful way.
Well, it felt like he threw a tantrum.
Right. And that's those are the bones. The meat is that she needed to be checked at that moment because all of that stuff that she was talking earlier, that was all game, and the true sentiments came out, and that's what happens with a lot of people. They talk, 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 And if you look at the pattern, sooner or later, the truth will come out. And when that truth comes out, that is when, okay, now we are down to the root of it. Now, of course, I would have did it from this standpoint. I wouldn't have been like mocking her. Fuck that. No, nah. See, this is some bullshit. And throwing a tantrum, as you said it. But I would have definitely said, see, right there, that is the problem. And instead of receiving it, he was like, nah, nah. And then she tried to backtrack. No, I'm not saying that, but you did say it. And it came out very genuinely because it was somewhere in your heart, your mind, or your spirit that had it come out. So the point that I was making is when Kevin Samuels did check her, and to your point, and I agree with your point, he had a little temper tantrum about it. But how would you feel? And this is why I said the people who he's trying to help or who bashes him, he died trying to help. Trying to help some people who ain't trying to hear it. That is what I was describing with you earlier when you were younger, and it was so frustrating. And but I continue, but it's frustrating when you're telling somebody something that can benefit them, and they're not trying to hear it. He told people what they were doing that they did not want to hear. And I said on my straight talk on Sunday, Qiara, a lot of people take the position on wanting to be correct instead of being corrected. And I said a lot of people, a lot of women specifically, like to talk about he's trying to control me, and this is why I brought it up to you. And those women are usually the most controlling women and people possible. And you know how you identify them? The ones who say, you can't tell me what to do. You ain't my daddy. I ain't got to listen to nobody. Who you think you are? Those are the most controlling people on the face of this earth. Even the men who be like, yo, that ain't my fault. You can't tell me what to do. You ain't controlling people. And yet they are the ones who act victim when it comes to, oh, he trying to control me. And I'm like, yo, how about you're the most controlling people? You know why, Qiara? And this is why I don't want you to ever miss it. Because they can't trust anyone except themselves. I shared that with you before, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so when a person can't trust no one but themselves, they have no choice but to be controlling because they're trying to control the narrative, control the situation to be able to save and protect themselves. And they don't even recognize that that's what they're doing. But they're quick to say, nobody ain't going to control me. You know why you're saying that? Because you don't trust nobody to relinquish control to other than yourself. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm speaking to somebody, and I'm glad, who can't say, you ain't my daddy. Because I speak with, and I have spoken with a lot of people. But if you know me, you know that daddy I'm not trying to be. I'm about the truth, and I'm about fairness. And if you're unfair or you're untrue or dishonest, I'm going to confront you about it. Would you say that about my character? Do you feel that I'm confrontational, Qiara?
Yeah.
Guess what? I would have denied that last week, but as of Sunday, I am proudly wearing that badge with honor because I am confrontational. But what I am not is combative. I'm confrontational because the truth, as the pastor A.R. Bernard said, the truth is confrontational because the truth challenges you to confront the way that you live, confront the choices that you make, confront the people that you choose, confront the dishonest things that you do. And only way it's combative is when you go beyond that. I'm confrontational because, yes, I am going to And you can contest to this or help me if I'm wrong. Do I confront you about the truth?
Yeah.
Do you like hearing that confrontation?
Not all the time.
I understand. Do you feel that it's combative?
No.
And the only reason why you don't feel it's combative is because, can you answer this question? Ladies and gentlemen, here it is. Qiara, how many times have I had to spank you?
Never.
Everybody hear this? Can you repeat that, please? Qiara, how many times have I had to spank you?
Never.
So, to all my people who love to give me this, you're combative. When I'm confrontational, I now admit that I might have denied it before last week, but combative, I am not. It's because the person who I am their father, who doesn't feel threatened, she used to feel intimidated. I understand that. Do you still feel intimidated by me?
No.
But you did when you were younger, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Who doesn't feel intimidated by me, I never had to be combative with her. So now when I speak with her, because of that, we're going. I'll answer that question, Ingrid. She can answer it if she likes.
I
Um,
didn't see the comments.
okay, so you see the
Yes.
question,
No.
but did mom spank? I say you can answer it if you want. I ain't getting into that. It's between you and your mama, and if you want to answer the question. So you can see the comment. Now you heard the comment. What's your answer to the comment?
I was a very good child.
Good answer. Good answer. We'll leave it at that. All right. So the point being is that I understand that. So no, I do understand that there were combative moments between her mother and I, which probably traumatized her. I just had a conversation with her about that not too long ago. I think a few weeks ago, or last week, or earlier. And I know that those scenarios might have traumatized her, but the result of how it was handled afterwards and the ability to have this conversation, and I want to never got a spanking, does not have any children out of wedlock, I'll say, is not married. How do you feel about marriage, Qiara? I never asked you that.
I want to get married.
Okay. Wants to get married but not married yet. What are you waiting for? Are you ready for that? Or you want to leave that one alone? I know where you at. You told me where you at. You want to leave that one alone right now? We can leave that one alone. All right. But but I want to say that I'm very proud of who you become, and who you are. And if I die tomorrow, how many times do I say that to you?
All the time.
Why is that, you think?
So that I don't take time for granted.
Okay, do you still take time for granted?
Yes.
All right. I'm hoping that you can mature and into not taking time for granted, and don't take my death to do so, or your mother's death, or anybody else close to you death, for you to understand how valuable time with a person, time, quality, as you said earlier, quality time is for everyone. All right. So with that being said, I'll say, are there anything you would like to speak about? Because I've been doing a lot of talking. Any questions you want to ask me?
I don't have any.
Okay, well, I mean, we do this all the time off the camera, so I can understand that. But is there anything you want people to know about your dad that they might not know?
You're funny.
Well, thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate that. If I could clone you and make a million of you, we would be rich forever. Because I would you find my jokes funny. Some people find my jokes offensive because they're the butt of the joke. And people wouldn't know that about me because I do often portray a serious person. You know, would you say that when it comes to business? You know, I often portray a serious person. When I went to Africa, I learned that, you know what, I have been burying my personality because I've been so serious about business that I've been too serious to where I'm not able to enjoy, or people aren't able to enjoy me. And I made an effort to be more open about my silliness, the stuff that I might do with you, with others. So thank you for sharing that with those people who might not know that. Anything else you want to speak about your dad that many might not know or that people might find interesting?
Um, hmm. I don't know.
Okay, I can respect that. Well, here's what I'll ask lastly before we go. Uh, what does your dad mean to you?
Hmm. um,
Or let's say this: if I die tomorrow, or right now on this stage, I ain't on a white woman, lady Ingrid. Uh, if I died right now, what flowers would you give me, or what would you say about me to those people now that you have me no longer?
um, that you're always there to guide me through any situation in my life, whether or not I knew that the situation was occurring or if it could occur. Um, and that you are very persistent
In what?
in making sure that I was able to receive those lessons.
Okay. Wow. And I guess with you, with what I did with you, I just kind of translate to do it here and to do with others. I do it in my relationships. Unfortunately, in my relationships, they have the out of, you ain't nobody daddy. Why are you always trying to tell me what to do? Instead of the appreciation that you just displayed when you said, even though it was annoying at times, the value of it came and you respect it from that standpoint, which it takes a lot of women to do who are your equals, um, you know, because often they stand to be correct instead of being corrected. Now, what I told somebody more recently is that they weren't, that they need to mature in that area because emotional maturity is one of the most important things. And I share that with you because um, I want you to have a sense of emotional maturity that goes beyond just your wisdom. And part of the emotional maturity is when you get out of your feelings and you follow your mind or your heart. Or I'm sorry, your mind or your spirit, not just your heart, because your heart will take you in different directions. Your spirit will give you is like your consciousness, which will give you balance, and your mind will give you clarity. So I hone in on emphasizing to you as well as to others to use your mind and or your spirit before you use your heart. Not dismiss your heart. As Pastor Bernard said, I'm not asking you to deny your feelings. I'm asking you to challenge your feelings. And would you say that's a summary of what I have done with you for probably as long as you can remember?
Mm-hmm.
Do I ask you to deny your feelings?
No.
Do I challenge those feelings that you have?
Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Qiara, I'm going to take a breath because I'm really thank you for joining me. This is what I do usually on Straight Talk. I have other guests, but this was much more meaningful, much more impactful because people get to understand me differently. Because I do come across sometimes to where I'm like a Kevin Samuels, uh, arrogant. They look at it as arrogant because I am persistent with what I what I share. They look at it as bullying because I'm persistent with what I share. I look at it as compassionate and compassion because I don't do it for everyone. I do it for those who I love. It just so happens that I love the world, but and that is to my downfall at times. But it gets really draining and frustrating because my love for the world um, eclipses people's hate for one another. So it's challenging at times. Teddy Riley, what's up? I'm here with my daughter. Big up to you. Look at there, Teddy. Yeah, we was just talking. My daughter and I feel real emotion. She joined me here today. This is the first ever that she's done this, and we're sitting here talking about the relationship that her and I had, the guidance that I provided her, the what she received from that guidance, and what she, as I would say, the meat that she chewed on and the bones that she spit out from me being her father. And so it's a very touching moment for my straight talk, straight understanding. I appreciate you joining me real quickly. We're about to wrap it up. Qiara, you've probably been on the road where I saw Teddy, or I had Blackstreet on the road at a point. She was a real little girl, Teddy, when she was on the road. She spoke about that earlier, that I took her places that she probably shouldn't have been because I had to work and she had to be with me, or we were spending time because that we didn't live together. So you are one of the acts that I was at a convention and I was doing work with during that album, as a matter of fact, and promoting that album. And she was with me during some of those times. So if you don't know Qiara, Teddy Riley is world famous producer, artist that was part of Blackstreet, artist that he did Remember the Time with Michael Jackson. He's done a world of things, and I commend the brother. And he's also a loving father as well. So that's why I'm sharing what I'm sharing, because he could relate to it. Being in this industry so much and trying to balance family with the industry, it's not an easy thing to do. Especially, we sometimes neglect our loved ones. Like you felt neglected at times when I wasn't able to give you. But I'm thankful that you was able to share with me that now you don't see it as you missing out on a time, but you appreciate the quality of time that I did spend. And did you find out that was today? Did you get a revelation that it might have been more quality than you even knew?
Um, yeah, I never thought about it, actually.
And now that you're thinking about what are you thinking about and what's different?
Well, now I can see it from your point of view instead of just my own.
Okay, that's fair. All right. Well, I appreciate you coming. I'm glad I didn't start crying because it really touched me. When Moms came on, she came on, and I just saw her name and I burst out crying because that was the first time she ever listened to Straight Talk. And so I feel the same way with you. This is the first time you listened and participated at the same time. And I really appreciate that. So thank you.
You're welcome.
And it is the most powerful. You're gonna cry when you log off, Ingrid said. Hey, if I do, I do. I have no shame in crying. So if I cried, I cried. Thank you, Qiara, for joining me. This is a special edition of Straight Talk, Lisa Straight Understanding with my daughter, Qiara Nicole Bolden. Qiara Bolden. Anything you want to plug? You doing a line? Anything you want to say? Because people will look at it afterwards.
Um, just keep an eye out for my name.
Keep an eye out for her name, Qiara Nicole or Qiara Bolden. Which one?
Qiara Bolden.
Qiara Bolden. I love it. I love it. I love it. Yeah. Okay. You will have my legacy live on, even though you're not a son, and so you will have our name, the Bolden name, live on, even though you will get married and one day release the name on paper, but you won't release it in spirit, and you will let the legacy live on, and I appreciate that. All right. Well, I love you.
I love you too.
And thank you for joining me. I hope one day we can do it again. It won't be as intense. You won't be as much on the spot. All right.
Okay.
All right. Take care. I love you. And tell Ohio who Mr. Cleveland. What's up? One day we'll do this with him.
Okay.
All right. Mwah. All right. Take care.
See ya.
See you.